to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is Arabi for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. You're quite lively for a Sunday night, G.
I'm the opposite of lively. I'm mellow.
Oh, yeah.
I could be in fucking Timbuktu, though, really, couldn't I? Again.
I don't know what it is with you in Timbuktu. Gareth, what did you make of last night's events? We were just discussing it before we started. Lee Wood was up on all of the cards before he got stopped. What did you make of the fight?
Yeah, I think he was marginally ahead. I think I had him around round and a half, kind of a round ahead. I know the judges had him 4 rounds and 2 rounds ahead, but it was a kind of case of, I thought it was better for him to take the fight late. I thought he might come stronger later, but Lara's power and aggressiveness kind of marked his face up early, marked Wood's face up early. He looked in a little bit of trouble early on. Then he seemed to recover and do fairly well and outbox Lara, but he's everyone's worst nightmare at 126 pounds, isn't he? I mean, he's a nasty little beggar. I mean, he, spitting on Warrington after the fight and trying to get in the corner, and everyone trying to keep him away from Lee Wood after the fight. You don't know if he's going to headbutt his opponent after the fight, spit on him, hit him again, or say well done. He's actually quite a nice fella, but when he's got his kind of radar beamed in on his opponents, there's no getting away from him. He went into this without a world title fight, rated as by many people as the number 1 in the division. He probably is. Does Michael Conlon beat him though? Even though obviously Michael got knocked out by Lee, that's a very good fight. What do I make of it? It was a great fight. It was terrific punches thrown by Lee Wood as well, who put a dent in Lara at times, but he just couldn't force him out of there. Lara went into his shell a couple of times, didn't he? Lee had a couple of good rounds, or a couple of good flurries as well, and some good moments. But when they exchanged those left hooks in the 7th round, it was good night Vienna, wasn't it? It really was.
Much like Anthony R's situation last month against Beterbiev, where he wanted to carry on, of course, because he's a fighter. Lee Wood exactly the same last night. At that point, definitely wanted to carry on. I think the main talking point from last night has been about Ben Davison and his decision to call that fight off. Obviously, you got the camp of brilliant decision. He cares for his fight. He knows his fight is best out of anyone. It was the right call. He protected him, and he can fight for another day. And then you've got other people saying they thought, Lee could have carried on. It's a world title fight, and they thought Lee still had a chance in there. So where do you sit on this argument, if you like?
Well, I'm in Camp Davison on this. I've got to say, I'd always rather someone be pulled out. Well, let's look at there were only 12 seconds left in the round, weren't there? Or he had to survive about 10 seconds after the count. You could have left him in there. Also, the referee hadn't ensured that Lara was back in the neutral corner, by the way. And he was literally pushed the referee out of the way to get to him. He should have been in the neutral corner while that count was going on. He'd made his way over right to the referee. That was wrong as well. But ultimately, Lee Wood, his eyes looked like he'd gone. His legs had gone. Lara's a horrible, dangerous, spiteful puncher. He was clearly concussed from that left hook. I think it was the right decision. He could have recovered in a minute and come out, and I think it's much of the same again would have happened. And he could have got very hurt, and he could have taken too many punches. So I'm with Davison. I think he did the right thing, and it's Davison's prerogative. He knows Lee Wood very well. He's been with him a couple of years. loves the guy to death. I've been with them several times. I know Ben very well, and I know what Ben's like. He was thinking of Davison. He was thinking of Lee Wood. He wasn't thinking of himself. All he was thinking about was his fighter's safety, and those questioning it need examining. Why would they want Lee Wood to carry on? Lara didn't look in trouble in that fight, did he?
No.
And there's still another 5 rounds to go. Lee had shipped quite a lot of punishment. Lara had as well. It was always going to be that kind of fight. I don't know why we have people questioning it was a stupid decision. I mean, I don't know who is truly questioning it's a stupid decision.
I've seen a few fighters online.
Who's questioning it?
I think Lyndon Arthur put something up. Obviously, on the commentary, on the punditry rather, Tony Bellew was very vocal about this.
Would he do it if it was his own son? I doubt it. Would he do it if it was someone very close to him? I'm not so sure about that.
But yeah, 10 seconds is plenty of time for Lara to land a massive left hook again, isn't it?
Yeah, but and also a minute is enough time to recover. But if he was concussed and he was in a bad state, you know, I mean, people will bring up, oh, what about the Corrales Castillo fight where they got up and down and fought? I think we're in a different era, and I think Lee Wood's 34, Lara's 24. Lara's a very heavy puncher. It's 9 of his last 10 opponents. I think 9 of his last 10 wins have been by stoppage. He just looked out. He looked out and gone for me. I don't know if you thought he should have carried on.
No, I thought Ben made the right decision there, to be honest, because if it went the other way, let him carry on, and he got, you know, brutally knocked out, then Ben would be getting it 10 times worse today. So he definitely did.
Yeah, I agree, but it's not even Ben getting it 10 times worse. Lee Wood wouldn't have been in as good a place. I haven't heard from Ben today. Exactly, and that's the last thing we want. And I think you have to look at Lee's age. They have to take all those factors into it as well. And Ben knows the guy. Ben knows him. People are just giving their opinions because it's how they feel. You can't, you know. But it's fighter safety we're talking about here. We're not talking about a judging decision. We're talking about someone being hurt in there, clearly hurt. He banged his head when he went down. He went out flat as well, didn't he? So, no, it's the right decision. I've no doubt about it. You know, both at the time and since I've seen it back, I haven't had a doubt that it was the right decision.
Well, yeah, I think the rematch will happen. So, yeah, we get to see it again. Gareth, just away from last night, please. Actually, we'll quickly.
And that's the other thing, by the way. He gets to fight another day.
Yeah. Quickly mention Friday night. Talking about knockouts, David Adelaide produced an incredible left hook as well that put loose out. What did you make of Adelaide?
I like David Adelaide. I think he's great fun. I think I like the look of him. I like the feel of him. It's a very big year for him. He was patient in that fight. Was that second round?
Second round. Is he ready for Fabio Wardley, or is it too early?
I think that's a tough fight for him right now, Fabio Wardley. Fabio Wardley's already been kind of risen up the levels of it. I'd love to see it, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a group of young heavyweights. And Wardley, Wardley is a Queensberry fighter or not?
No, Wardley's with Eddie and David's with Frank.
So, you know, maybe that'd be good to put Eddie and Frank against each other as well. So, you know, look, they're going to have to face each other at some point. They're on a very similar trajectory. Fabio's just slightly ahead, I think, at this moment in time. But yeah, I mean, I'd favour Fabio in that fight right now. I think that David's advancing. You know, he's a long way from the Sokolovsky fight a couple of years ago, where he was a bit all over the place. But yeah, there was something good about him. But I didn't think much of the opponent. I thought, I've got to be fair. He only had one boxing match, even though he'd been a kickboxing. I remember him in Glory, um, and you know he was very good in that. But kickboxing is a different thing, and heavyweight boxing is a different thing. Normally, you find that the kickboxers are very good and have got great torsos as well because they're kicked so much to the body. But heavyweight boxing's different. I think Adelaide's got a very heavy punch. He set it up beautifully in the corner, though, didn't he? It was a lovely shape that he threw, and we got the celebration, didn't we? He's a great guy. He's a lovely guy, David Adelaide, and I wish him all the best.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Fury brothers. We'll start with Tyson. Obviously, still no real concrete update on him and Alexander Usyk. I saw your piece with Adam Cattrall you did on TalkSport about Eddie's comment, because it looks like this fight at the moment isn't heading to Saudi Arabia if it happens. And Eddie was discussing how, because Anthony Joshua's not involved, this fight isn't happening in Saudi Arabia because it's commercially not big enough. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a big call from Eddie, I think, to say that the undisputed heavyweight title is not big enough for Saudi Arabia. It's not commercially viable enough. He may have a point about Anthony Joshua being a bigger draw over there, but he only fought there twice, hasn't he? And both of those times was on Sky Box Office as well, I hasten to add, rather than on DAZN. We're going to find out some truths now on DAZN. Will Joshua and Jermaine Franklin do numbers? I'm sure it'll sell out the O2 Arena, but no, if it was the other way around and these were Eddie's fighters, he'd be saying what a massive fight it was. It should be going to Saudi Arabia. So apples and oranges there from Eddie. It is big enough to go there, I think. But maybe they didn't get the money they wanted there. Now they're wrangling over the money here. I don't think it is going to Saudi Arabia unless something happens this week with the other Fury brother and more talks go on. But my understanding is it's heading to Wembley on April the 29th if they can get the financials right. Clearly, Fury's team don't want to go 50-50 with Usyk. He is asking for a certain sum and he's not budging on it. It'll be an absolute travesty for boxing and for the public and for everyone if this fight doesn't get over the line with these 4 belts available and these 2 guys undefeated, both in their prime, I hasten to add, and that they don't face each other, and we don't get it in the UK. I think it would be tragic, Umar. And I urge Fury and his team. I urge Frank Warren and George Warren just to make this agreement. At the end of the day, yes, it is about money, but let's not make it about money. Let's get the fight over the line. Let's get it signed. Let's get it on, because it's going to be a massive black eye for boxing if those belts get scattered and Usyk has to go off and do mandatories and we don't get the undisputed title. Be so disappointing. I'm feeling the low from that already if it doesn't happen. For me, they've got to get this fight over the line this week. I mean, they were together, Frank Warren and Alexander Krasiuk, weren't they? Last Wednesday at the Arsenal-Man City game. You were probably there as well. You're a regular in the box these days.
No, I wasn't there actually. I was at the Creed premiere actually that night.
Of course you were. You were separating Lawrence Okoli and Richard Riakporhe.
I thought I wouldn't get in the middle of that. Leave that alone.
I think Riakporhe got the better of that, Lawrence will get back at me for that. I had Dan Aziz in the Talk Sports studio on Saturday night, and he said he sparred both of them as an amateur. And he said Richard Riakporhe, man, he can crack. He said he cracks so hard, and he said Lawrence is so difficult to fight. And he said back in those days, Lawrence was a really adept boxer, was advancing very quickly. But no, I mean, they've got to get this fight over the line. No which way about it. If they're asking 55 for Usyk's 45, which I think is kind of fair, then that's fine. But if Usyk's team don't want to do it and they want a straight 50-50, then they got to go with that. They got to go with that. He's got 3 of the belts. He's undefeated as well. Yes, he's not as big a draw for the British public, but he's been in a massive fight involving Anthony Joshua at Spurs. So, they give him his dues, do 50-50. I think it does 1 million pay-per-view buys. anyway, and I think it sells out Wembley Stadium. You know, work that out. You know, they're both going to earn 25 million. You know.
I know people won't want to hear this about splits, and they'll completely agree with what you've just said and just get the thing on. But you've got to realise this is a business and this is how things work. You know that better than anyone. You've been in the sport for years and years, Gareth. You know things aren't just straightforward. They've worked on a deal with Saudi. If this is assuming it goes to Wembley, they've worked on a deal with Saudi. Usyk's team obviously had their own deal. They were working on Tyson's deal. It seems like from rumours that's collapsed. So they're having to renegotiate a whole new deal. And obviously Tyson's saying, and I'm guessing Tyson's team are saying, well, we're bringing like a huge chunk of the pot here. So if we're gonna do this deal and put the terms out, they're probably asking for 60-40. Do you think? Do you think that's what's going on?
There may be, but they shouldn't. This is you talk about a business deal, right? It's making a profit. So you don't. The business deal is between the pair of them. Fury is the more famous of the two fighters. There's no doubt about that. But Usyk deserves enormous credit for what he's achieved, and you know he doesn't go into this fight without a chance of winning. So you know it's going to be a very cagey, very difficult fight to judge and score. It could be very, very close. We know what a good mover Usyk is, and he's clever, and he'll use all his ring generalship in this fight. Fury probably should be a bit too big for him and a bit too awkward to outmaneuver, but because Fury, as we know, can dance as well. Not so much laterally, of course. He doesn't move quite as much. He'll use his weight more on Usyk. I'm really salivating about the prospect of the event taking place, but no, I think it's got to get over the line by hook or by crook, and I'm not siding with yes, Fury gets the bigger deal. No, they just get the deal. Just get the deal done. If you have to go 48-52 or just squeeze it for it to have marginal favoritism in terms of the business deal, it's a profit-making fight. There's no question about it. It's a huge money-making fight. We can't afford for this fight to collapse. The smokescreen of this Fury Wilder 4 thing as well worries me. You know, I think it's a smokescreen. You know, I think that's what was going on last week. And I think Alexander Krasiuk came out and did an interview at one point last week saying, look, we're not doing it unless it's 50-50. I'm sure the discussions are more cordial than those quotes in that interview he did. But, oh my God, I just can't contemplate it not happening, frankly. You know, I want it to happen here. I think it'll be an amazing event here on April the 29th. It will be a huge, huge event in the UK. You know, fingers and toes crossed that we get this over the line this week. I shall be, while you're out in Saudi, I shall be chasing Frank and George on this, and probably Bob, and maybe Krasiuk.
Going to have a busy week next week, Gareth.
Yeah,
well, a deal that did get done, of course, is Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. We are, well, exactly 1 week away. They'll be in the ring within hours next Sunday. You nervous for Tommy, Gareth?
No, I'm not nervous for Tommy. It doesn't matter to me what happens.
Does it not reflect bad on boxing if he loses?
No, I don't think so at all. I think he's got great cojones fighting this guy, and I think good luck to him earning $5 million or whatever he's going to earn. This is a multi-million-dollar fight for an area title, basically, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
It's what it is. An area cruiserweight title.
Oh, actually, you say that, but Mauricio Sulaiman said
even...
he'll rank Jake Paul if he beats him. So,
well, there are some that people have taken the top line from that. It's not absolutely true. It's what we've all talked about as the top line. He isn't going to be ranked in the top 15 in the world, and if Badu Jack beats Lumumakabu, he's not going to be calling him out for a world title fight. He probably wouldn't mind calling him out for a world title.
Well, he's called out Carl Froch.
Yeah, exactly. But it's there's no way that it merits a world ranking. I bet it's something, isn't it? A top 40 or something. These are 380 and 360 in the world or something at cruiserweight. These two guys. so they're nowhere near anywhere. Tommy hasn't fought anyone of note, so it doesn't merit a top 40 ranking, which is I think what it is, something like a top 40 ranking. It's nonsense. It's the WBC. There's nothing other than the WBC wanting to, shave, a couple of percent off the purse. That's what it looks like anyway from the outside. Again, Mauricio Sulaiman, another one I'm chasing to get an answer on that. And on Conor Benn's 270-page report. Look, I've mentioned it again. That's gone all quiet again, isn't it? I'll give you a little reveal here. There have been talks for Conor Benn and Manny Pacquiao.
Really? Wow.
Really. I know, because people I know have told me who are involved on the other side. There have been talks. Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
who wins that?
I'll speak to you about.
I know, it's very hard to contemplate. But you're asking me about Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. Am I worried for Tommy? I think Jake Paul could win. I think Tommy's got to hold his nerve in there and let Jake Paul come on and catch him, and he could knock him out. There's no question about that. But who'd have thought 3 years ago that we'd be saying that Jake Paul knocked out clean Tyron Woodley and he knocked Anderson Silva down? I think it might be a draw. How about the draw's 10-1? So look, I think Jake Paul's got huge balls and he's great cojones, great admiration for him stepping up to chase this kind of thing and chase boxing. Tommy's a new father. He and Molly May and the new baby, Bambi?
Bambi.
Not
correct,
Bambi.
yeah. Bambi, yeah.
Bambi. What a lovely name. Bambi. What a great thing to have where he's going to get a lovely payday just having become a father. That's the way I see it. I think obviously there's great pride in the Fury family about boxing, so they don't want to see Tommy lose, but they're not going to treat him like a pariah if he does lose. No way. John, you and I know John better than that, and he's not going to berate his son. He's going to berate him if he doesn't put in a good performance and give his all, which he will. But anything can happen in this fight. We're all rubbernecking. There's so much jeopardy for Tommy. He's got all the pressure on him. There's no pressure at all on Jake Paul. He signed a deal with the PFL MMA as well. He's going to go cage fighting next against the likes of Aaron Chalmers. I'm going to be sitting here watching Aaron Chalmers, Floyd Mayweather, doing a couple of Floyd Mayweather interviews next week. You're going to miss out on that one. Yeah. And then I think Aaron Chalmers, if he acquits himself well, he'll be chasing Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, KSI. This is the fight that Jake Paul can prove that he can beat a boxer. This is his toughest fight, no question. But they're both novices, and it's how they handle the occasion next week that really matters as well. So that is what really matters. We're all going to be watching.
Well, definitely are, but it's a bit of a bizarre one. Jake and Tommy in Saudi, and you got Floyd Mayweather at the O2 with Aaron Chalmers. It's a bizarre weekend, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm covering all of it, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's very unusual. I mean, it looks like I'm going to be at Mayweather Chalmers, just doing some interviews and stuff. It's always fascinating being around Floyd, as you know, but there's going to be a lot of attention on Sunday night. Do you think? I think it might do 1 million pay-per-view buys. Tommy and Jake.
I'd be surprised if it did 1 million, but it'll definitely do well.
I know it'll do millions of views. It'll do actually, because it must be on.
If there's a big knockout, it will go all over the world, won't it? So it's on BT Sport Box Office. Gareth, thank you very much for your time. I need to get to bed because I've got to be up about 5-6 a.m. to catch my flight. But we'll speak soon, all right?
Enjoy.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife and saying, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.